open the meeting, the weekly meeting of the Hazel Park Amateur Radio Club. The dartboard meeting for June 2nd, 2025 is now officially called to order. And of course, we would like to recognize our everybody who contributes to keeping the repeater on the air, including our air monitors and particularly our chief engineer, John AAAUU. Thank you. And of course, Bill and myself there, we got some of the paperwork under control. This is our list of folks who's on this particular team. I'm doing the best we can with the photos. If you have a better photo, we want to look our best. And so just send it along to me and we'll get things squared away there. All right, next. Well, oh, so hold on. We've got to hold on with the big news. Stand by because we're going to go ahead here a bit because we want to talk about the networking portion of it. We have a lot of good news, a lot of good news this week. But let me just get to where we're going here, and oh, so just bear with me if you would. Oh, here we go. Okay, so. There we go. Is that a smile or what? Look at this. Look at this incredible this antenna here. Hey, Dave, you want to give us an update on how things are coming there and the plan and what a great photo.
Sure.
This is going to be on the webpage.
So the club we talked, Joe and myself and Bob and Mike was also involved in the conversation. We decided to go ahead and purchase one pair of the antennas. So that's two. I say antennas. They're not antennas. They're actually complete radio units. So that LMB that you see right in the very center of the dish, that's actually a microcomputer. So it connects via RJ45, and you can log into it just like you would like your home router, and you can set up the Wi-Fi network. But instead of this being 2.4 or 5 gigahertz, it's in the 6 gigahertz range, and so the intention is to put one of these dishes up at the main location pointed at Scout Park. And we are going to attempt, everything on paper says that it should work, but we are going to attempt a point-to-point link to Scout Park to use the AT&T connection at the main for the internet connection for field day. The rest of the equipment that we'll be using to make that local area network in the field, that all belongs to me. So I'll be bringing a 24-port switch, a wireless access point, a router, a controller, all that stuff. That stuff belongs to me. So the club did not buy that yet, but they did buy the two dishes to go point to point. So Tony and myself intend on going up to the site yesterday week. I want to say that's the 8th. I think it's the 8th, to put up the dish at the main. Depending on how that install goes, it might just be a temporary install as a proof of concept, just because we're going to have to move the stuff anyway. So we'll go up, we'll install that. Oh yeah, Sunday afternoon, then I'll go to Scout Park with the receiver and get that link set up, make sure that it works appropriately, and then I'll tear it down, take it back to my house, and I'll set it back up again on field day. But these are good for, I think it's a 900 meg throughput, so almost a gig. And it's also good for 35-kilometer range point to point with a good line of sight. So we have no problem with Scout Park. We have no problem with basically any of our sites. We have no problem. I was doing just a little bit of testing again on paper. There's a designer that you can use for these dishes. And at the height of the main, we would get full 900 meg throughput in Ann Arbor. So
Right,
yeah,
500 megabits, you mean, per sec?
900, yeah, megabit.
Megabits, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. That is
yeah.
truly
At the
phenomenal.
six, it's the in the 6 gigahertz. So it is in the Part 15. It is not in the ham band, and you cannot put these particular dishes into the ham band. So we will be Uh, yeah, it'll be commercial internet. We can do HTTPS. We can do all of that stuff. It's just like you're in my internet at home. There's no special rules and regulations that we'll have to abide by.
Okay. All righty. Does anybody have
And
any
the
questions for Dave?
Yeah, I actually do have one. Uh so post
Hi.
field day. Hello. So post field day, if we have obviously I think this is gonna work if you have line of sight. What's the plan on the which we leaving the first dish up at the main site? Is it maybe we could take the second one over to some other
Water
place that
tower.
may need internet, such as a certain
The
water tower
water.
on 13 mile?
Yes. The intention is to bring it over to the water tower. And then, after this proof of concept happens and as this project progresses, the point is also to do a point to point to the remote receive site. So currently, the Detroit City Airport and the hospital with a north and west future proposed.
Okay. Would this kind of thing work as a point to multi-point? Like say you were to move this dish off to one of the receive sites and put a vertical or whatever I don't think it's a vertical, but you know what I mean? Like, there a PTMP antenna up at Oak Park.
So yes, absolutely, it would. You can use these particular ones, although they're quite narrow-sighted.
Well, right.
They do make a 360 antenna. They do make a 120 antenna, but the power output, the radiated power output of a multi-point antenna is far less than just a point-to-point. So I did do a little bit of looking to see whether I could do a point to multi-point instead of a point to point, and it looked like it might work, but these for sure would work. And the advantage of doing it this way is that we had redundancy. So, if we were to lose that multi-point receiver at the main, like that's
Yeah.
it. Like they're down. So, if we were to lose one, that's annoying, but it's $140 and we have another one. The multi-point radios are more in the $400 range, and also
Okay.
we've lost the whole lot.
Right. So basically what you're saying is we're just going to be using these directional dish antennas and we'll be building out a wide area LAN with that. And if that's the case, then I'm okay with that. I just wanted to know what, if we looked into any other options and what we had found.
So
But
yes, I had looked at point to multi-point, and I figured that a hub and spoke was going to be better. I even looked at doing point to point to the hospital and then putting a multi-point there, or doing a hub and or a point to point to the airport and doing it there, or doing multi-point to the hospital and then doing point to point to the airport. Like I did lots of different configurations, and they all worked in theory, but the point to point, the dedicated point to point was going to be our best option with redundancy.
okay. Yeah.
I have a quick question too. Is on that the electronics inside that looks like in the feed horn of that. What is the repairability of that if there's a failure in the electronics?
My assumption would be zero, but Ubiquiti sell them for $60 a piece.
Okay.
That feed horn just literally plugs out of the front of the dish. We can keep the dish and just put a new LMB into it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it's fairly easy off the shelf.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, great.
So if that's eventually going to go to the water tower, that means we'll have full fusion capabilities at the water tower on the fusion repeater.
That I that part of it I don't want to answer because I don't know anything
Right. That's
about
more up to
the.
Joe.
I've never even seen the UHF machine, but there would be an internet connection at the water tower. From
That'd be
there, what we
great.
do with it.
And that would be absolutely correct. I mean, that what we want to do is to be able to provide our separate non-terrestrial internet access at the UHF site. Yes.
Because
And so
then
this
we
is
can
the
have
first.
Zoom fusion rooms and stuff. What the ex-vice president, I can't think of his name now, but what he was always pushing for, he wanted to get the fusion repeater on the internet so that we could go to
Right.
the different rooms around the world.
Yeah, there was some
Exactly.
equipment, and you're thinking about Marv. He used to be,
Yeah, Marv, yeah,
yeah, he was my first vice when I was president,
right.
but first term I was president. But yeah, yeah, he we looked into that, and it requires some extra equipment that we priced out to like 2 or 3K or whatever. Joe, you probably remember.
What?
Yeah, we did. We did look
Huh.
into it, and
Okay.
then, but I don't know what happened to it. It kind of fell off the radar
Yeah,
there.
I don't recall seeing anything about it in the current proposal, so I guess we'll worry about it down the road.
Right.
But if
Yeah.
we could at least bring in, if we could at least get internet to that site,
Right.
we can kick
Yeah,
that can
that's
down the
step
road
one
and
anyway.
find,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
maybe get some equipment, for cheaper on the used market or something. So yeah,
Yeah. Hold on a minute here. Hold on.
Joe, while you're looking at whatever you're looking at, to go deeper into what Mike was asking me about, Mike, my intention, this is the first one of these meetings that both you and I have been on. My intention is that we will have at least two or possibly three VLANs for this wide area network, the hub and spoke wide area network that we're working on, with one VLAN being no internet, that there would be no internet available on it, and that our Raspberry Pis or Arduinos or whatever we're using at the remote sites would sit on that network for audio transmission. It's somebody smarter than I am is working on basically a local VoIP connection between all of the sites for the feedback. So it'd be VHF in and then IP back to the main.
yeah, we had talked about that doing, because it's in the plans, of course, to once we get with these new funds that have magically appeared, get a machine, computer that can run All-Star Link. We can become a node there. We can use the voter,
Yes.
and then we can put little computers, like single board computers or like these small LTSP terminals or whatever we're going to buy, and all those would be at each site, and then we just yeah. And I like the idea of keeping services separate in VLANs. Most of these modern networking the modern networking gear follows that whatever the 802 spec is, where you can have up to 1024 VLANs. I think we can do three. So
Yes, 100% we can. And then also the other thing is the firewall that I am proposing that we put in at the main to do all of this routing has VPNs built into it, so we can VPN into the site rather than using like a remote desktop or AnyDesk or
yeah,
whatever one that we're using. You would actually VPN directly into it, and then you would have full access to all of the equipment up there.
right. And you just have to install whatever client they use, be that Forta client or Global Protect or whatever they have.
You can just use the one that's built into Windows. You can actually use the VPN client built into Windows.
Oh, it has I forget the name of it now, but yeah, Alt2TP, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you use a different free service. They connect together and it'll let you in.
But
But
I know
yes,
what you mean. Like it's the same thing that's been built into Windows since the 90s, I think. So
yes,
it's
for sure.
obviously
Yes, it is.
been
Yep.
upgraded since then, hopefully. But
Yep.
okay. Well, as long as there's some way it follows a protocol, I don't run Windows normally, uh,
Yep.
unless I'm in my ham shack. That machine runs Windows. So yeah, well, if I ever had to get in there, and I will admit I've been pretty hands off with all the club stuff in the last few months. But
Yep.
if something happens and it fell to me like to do something, I knew I could do it. So
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. You just punch in the static IP, and then I would give you a username and login for the VPN. And then once you're connected, you're connected.
All right, sounds good. We just gotta make sure that's documented somewhere.
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. It'll all be documented. And it's
All
all in
right.
the one ecosystem as well. It's all in the Ubiquity ecosystem. Everything will be all in one dashboard.
All right. And Dave, if you need any assistance with the networking side of things, or like lugging equipment up somewhere and setting it up, etc., I can hopefully I won't be too busy at work and I can make myself available on the day or days that you do that, because this is the kind of thing that I would want to. This is where I would really want to help with the repair project. The RF stuff
Absolutely.
you
Sounds
guys,
great. You
but
and I have worked together really well in the past. So it's,
okay,
yes,
yeah,
fantastic. And
cool.
Tony is fully on board as well. He and I have been in communication on the side as well. So I think between the three of us, we'll be unstoppable.
All
This
right.
is exciting stuff. It really is. I mean, this is a step into the 21st century here. So very good. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks very much. Looks great. All right. Any other questions for Dave? All right.
And if you do, please, you have my email. Send me an email, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All right.
All righty.
And with that, I'll see you folks later. See ya.
Okay. You know what, Dave, hold
Enjoy
on.
your
I gotta
vacation,
let the dog
David.
out. Just a second. Holy cow. Come on, you guys. Seriously?
Enjoy your vacation, David. Have a good one. Safe travels.
Thanks. Thanks, Mike. Joe just asked me to wait for a second. I'll just wait to see what's up, and
Okay.
and then I'll jump off. But thank you so much.
I'm back. And thank you. Thank you.
All
Great
right.
work. Excellent. All right. What's next in line? Well, the headline of the day, okay, of course, is we got the funds now are they're in transit, as I understand it. They should arrive sometime soon. So I thought that we would take a look at the way things are set up initially and see how we can um, divide up the funding here. So first of all, the biggest source of funding is sort of a catch-all category with tools and connectors and supplies and things of that sort. Probably if we need building permits or something like that, would come out of that. And so that's about 42% of the total fund.
Molly,
So we'll take a look
you
at
ready for the
that.
pool?
And then hold on, let me just we'll just mute all.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so there's that. Then the next part of the budget is the VHF antenna project that we initially started before any of this came about. So it fits in really nicely, and we're able to do pretty much what needs to be done. In terms of flexibility in the VHF antenna section there's not a lot of flexibility. I mean, other than variance in pricing between different manufacturers, whatever that might be, there's maybe some savings there. But for the most part, we're pretty much fixed to an antenna transmission line and the duplexer, and I think a circulator is in there as well. So, oh yeah, the circulator is in there. So the hard line, the antenna, and the duplexer. Then the next section here is the repeater controller, remote receivers, and some of the small computer boards. About 10% of our budget is going to go to networking as of this moment, and we'll see how that turns out. And finally, we'll have about under 10%, 7, 8, 9% will go to the UHF site. The reason the hardware at the VHF site is significant, about twice as large as the UHF site, is not only because of the repeater, but keep in mind that we have remote receivers to look after and other circuitry. The controller is another item. So there's certain home-based items that are contained within that VHF hardware number. So that's what we have there. All right, hold on. Okay, so now that we see what we have, so the next big question is how are we going to keep track of it all? So that's pretty important. So through the help of Vera has helped set this up for us, and we thank you, Vera, for looking after that. We're going to go with Google. Google has an incredible, hold on, Max. Okay, we seem to have that all squared away. We're going to go with the Google Workspace. Incredible. I really didn't know a lot about it, but in the last week or so, I've been investigating. It's amazing. But for those not in the know, what happens is we go up to the waffle, which is right there. Okay, when you click on that, of course, you get this you get this readout. Just a second, I'm just trying to. You get the readout. Okay, so you click on the waffle here, and you get this window. And that particular window, you may have seen it before. Maybe you use it for to get your Gmail, or I don't know, maybe you watch YouTube with it. But the most important thing is this item right here. It's called Google Drive. Okay, Google Drive. In addition to Google Drive, you have something called Meet, which is like Zoom. I'm kind of partial to Zoom, you know. It's really a terrific program, and everybody's used to it. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we'll stick to Zoom. Anyway, once you click on your Google Drive, okay, you get a screen that looks like this. If you look on the left side here, you get your home screen, and then you get something called My Drive, which is your drive. But if you go down two or three selections down, it says Shared with Me. Very important, Shared with Me. So you want to click on Shared with Me, and you will see this icon, the dart, okay? So when you click on the dart icon, you're going to have these options that we see right here. So you'll have either technical or on-air operations, business. This will have to do, we know when we get into purchase orders and tracking finances, we'll go down that. We'll take a look at that a little closer here in a second. Legal, personnel issues, also who the team members are, information like that, and of course our presentations. And at the very bottom, you have the Google Drive guide. So if you want to read a little deeper into all that's in this program, that's the place to do it. If you have a question, that's like the help guide. All right. Now, if you click under technical, for example, then you have systems, frequency coordination, meeting notes, presentations that are purely technical, and the proposals that we'll put out for vendors. And then within systems, well, systems, frequency coordination, meeting notes, like I said. And then within systems, we'll set up folders for data networking or RF systems, signal flows, whatever. These are just some ideas on how we can do that. So that's what
Hey,
that was.
Joe, I got a question for you.
Yes, go ahead, Al. Yeah.
Yeah, on that page under presentations and technical, can you open
Yeah.
up that folder?
No, I can't.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
not. Yeah,
when I
this is
open
just a
it,
demo. Yeah, I'm sorry.
oh,
Go ahead.
okay, yeah. Well, anyhow, the PDF file in there from last week's meeting, when
Yeah.
you click on it, it says Google Drive files are too large to open, and they want you to use some other type of format or another link to open up that file. So I think we're going to have to investigate how big of a file can be stored there and if everyone can open it or not.
That's a good point. I ran into that myself now that you mention it.
Hey,
How
hey
I
Al,
got around it is
I'm-
I downloaded it and opened it, and it opened up fine. You got to download it first, but that's a little bit awkward. When you're working on something, you don't want to, have to stop and then upload it and all that stuff. I know that in OneDrive, in Microsoft OneDrive, I have a local folder on my computer. Yeah, I have a local
oh, I
folder
see.
on the computer itself, and it automatically copies. And I bet this does too. We just haven't found it yet. So there's more to sort out, but this is the basic.
Well,
Basic.
Joe, I think part of the issue is that if you're talking about the HP ARC Airlink next steps, that's 146.7 megabytes, which yeah, no way that they're gonna let you open that in a browser. So
Right. It's a big file. It's every slide that's ever been done. And when you do get it open, like I said, if you download it and put it on your desktop or something, then you can open it up and you can see it. But that's about every single slide. So, treat it with, uh, a big picture approach there because there's a lot of different things and they're not always in the right order. But anyway, so take a look at that. But yes, so that's a problem. We'll see what the maximum file size is. I just wanted to go down just one other level. On the business folder, for example, this is where we'll have like our purchase orders and where we can we're just on the cusp of sending these purchase orders out to the different vendors and so on. So we're going to take a look at that and get that going very, very soon here. So stand by on that.
Hey, Joe, what's the file called? The shared with me? What's it called?
Here, it's called share. If you go to shared with me, that's
Right?
that's not actually a file. That's like a selection on the left.
Right. Right. I'm
And
looking for, I want to know what I'm clicking on then because I don't see
on then
anything.
here, this is what you're clicking on then. Hold on, stand by. Up right there. You should have a folder where it says shared with me, and it's at the top level, right? And you should have a folder that says Dart. Do you
Dart.
have that?
I do not have a Dart.
Okay, we will work on that if everybody can check. Does anybody else see it?
Did you
Maybe
get
another
the
step.
did you get the link in the email?
I may not have.
Uh,
Okay. So that's probably why, because it hasn't been shared with you yet. So it's
got
got
it.
to be it's got to be shared. But
Who would that have come from?
me,
have it either.
okay, so if you can put your emails in the chat and then I'll send you the link right now while we're in.
Outstanding.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
also looking at my inbox, and Vera sent this stuff out on May 28th, which was Wednesday, and then Mike you said you responded about an hour later, so it's
May
probably
28th. Okay, so it is there. Let me look.
yeah. So you did get the email if you were able to respond to that. You probably all. So if nothing else, looking at your sent items and track it back from there, I guess.
Hey, Mike.
Yay, there's Vera. And there's the link. Sweet.
There we go.
Mike, KWU, Mike, quick question.
Yeah.
Somebody, if someone sends you this to a different email than your Google account email,
It came to my Outlook email.
Yeah, if you have the link,
It doesn't matter. Just a link in
yeah.
the email.
Right.
Okay.
It goes off what the link is, right, Vera?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
well then,
Yeah, because I'm in
okay.
it now. I got it up on my screen. So
All
thank
right.
you. Thank you, Vera, for sending it initially. Sorry, I forgot it was there. I'll
No
blame
problem.
it on 63. And thanks, Michael, for getting me back on the tracks.
Yeah.
And disregard my email in the chat. I do have it now
Oh,
too.
okay. All right. Okay, no problem.
So I have one question too. Joe or Vera, if I just to make the record complete, if we want to put the Dart meeting videos on here, obviously they're too large. Would it be a good idea for me to just put a link to the YouTube video in a list on the directory?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We have
I'll
a
start working on that.
page on the web page for calling up the previous issues of Zero Beat, the newsletter, and they're all listed according to date. You know that the format that I'm talking about, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Where you click on it and it just is a link, and then it takes you right to YouTube or
Okay.
some kind of something.
I'll start
Yeah.
working on it.
Okay. Excellent. Any other questions on the shared file? So, and again, Vera, thank you very much for getting this, getting the ball rolling on this.
Yeah, no problem. That what made me think to use it was I just finished a class and um this is how they had it set up to where uh like the agenda for the class,
Right.
for each, the homework and everything. And she uploaded audio, audio of the classes, but not a video.
Oh, I
So the
see.
audio was like maybe like an hour and a half. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that I don't know if how
Yeah.
that
The audio would be
affects.
significantly smaller
Yeah,
file. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The video takes up a lot. It takes up
yeah.
about 5 or 6 times what the audio does. But that's great. Well, it really works. I was just like amazed at all the different capabilities it has, Google Sheets and Google Notes and all sorts of stuff. So it's nice. That's a nice application. Okay, let's get to where we're going here. Okay, we looked at this. So just a reminder of how our system works. We'll be talking about going forward, we'll be talking about a few things, but again, we have our main site in Oak Park, right? Now, what's not shown here is the UHF site. So this could really be updated. But the difference between the VHF and the UHF is the VHF has all these remote radios and all this capability, of which we're only using about half of it now. But in the future, we'll get that back up to speed there. And then we have our diagrams that we talked about. And then, of course, here we have the happy face. So maybe we could take a picture of this and project it onto the antenna. I don't know. Haven't done a thing about the schedule yet. I apologize with all the other goings-ons there are. We looked at this last week. This is what the vendors can use as a reference for bidding on the project. So we talked about it in depth last week, and we'll see where that brings us. But what we have that is a bit new. So we have here we have uh, a, a, a summary of the installation companies that are in the area. Now we have two types. We have this national and regional installers, okay, and these are the different people who work nationwide. And then we have a one that's more finely tuned for Michigan. Okay, so these are all companies that do the sort of work we're talking about. I just happened to notice, and I don't know when I don't know these guys at all, but Century Radio, I see it says commercial ham emergency radio services. But so these are the companies that we can put out our bids, and we'll get three of the most three. We'll get the three bids that will determine which way we go and make sure that we're getting the best prices and we're operating as efficiently as possible. You know, so this I left in. This is just the map of our area there. So okay, and then here's the footprint that was created many, many years ago. We talked about somebody had asked. Oh, I forgot I was going to do this. Somebody had asked about getting a larger view of one of the antennas, and I forgot what it was, but I'll go back and I'll get that squared away. Here we have this is our existing antenna and so on, and this is what we thought we could get, but I don't know if it's available or not. That was actually the wrong photo that I wanted to put in here. I did want to show, maybe I do have it. I know I have it somewhere. I wanted to show. Oh, here we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so let's just go back. Oh, so back here. So here's our existing antenna. What we want to do is we want to do some field reading so that we know before and after. So we'll do that. Last week I had showed this screen last week, and somebody had suggested that we could even save a few more dollars by just getting the single input SDR play to do these measurements. But you know, it occurred to me that if we use the two-channel input, we can do both the VHF and UHF repeaters at the same time. So that is something to consider. I just wanted to throw that out to the crowd there. And GlobeSat, our GlobeSat GPS unit. Okay. So here we go. So seems to be the antenna of choice. That looks pretty good. I know that I was hoping he'd be here, Mike, but anyway, so he's across this and is going to help us sort this out. I wonder if Hugh is here too. Hugh, I'm going to reach out maybe tomorrow. Maybe we get you and Mike working together. If you could help us in figuring out this mounting procedure, what is going to be the best mounting platform to use for all this. I know you have some experience in that with the metallurgy and all that sort of stuff. So we'll be calling on your expertise there to make sure where we're going is in the right direction. Now this antenna is a little bit pricey here. So we're going to have to give this some thought, but we'll get the system down on paper and make whatever adjustments we need to make and then move from there. We're hoping to get this ordered. I don't know what the availability is. I would imagine these are pretty much off the shelf, but maybe not. Well, actually, it is off the shelf. Antenna Farm has them in stock. They have a bunch of them. So we'll take a look at that.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
I have a question about that antenna and
Okay.
the logistics of it. That antenna is close to 19 feet long. It's one piece. You're going to pay an extraordinary amount of money to have that shipped um, commercially from California. It's probably going to be at least $400. And then it's going to have to be stored somewhere. The shipping weight is 65 pounds. It looks like the antenna weight is 30 pounds, but it's very well built. It's built probably for the Antarctic. I don't know if it might be too much of an overkill. And other things you're going to have to think about is how is it going to be transported to the roof? Is there a service freight elevator there? You're going to take it up the stairwell because you can't break it down like a folded dipole 4 bay or 5 bay or whatever antenna. You can't take it up there piecemeal. It's going to have to be taken up, in one piece. And for that price, you really hate to have anything happen to it, especially an antenna strike. Is there insurance that will be able to be maintained for it? Well, has anyone priced out the cost of insurance for replacing that antenna? I just, and also the site assessment for the installers. Are they going to do a total site assessment up there? Are they going to bring up service monitors and analyzers and figure out what side of the building would be the best location to put the new antenna at? Where is the least amount of RF and the best the signal path that we're going to get for it? The south side, the west side, the north side. Is there interference? Is there any way to validate if there is any interference up there before we invest all this money into it? We can't alleviate. Will they be able to do a full site assessment for that antenna, not just install it?
I don't know to answer that question. Initially, my thought is that we're pretty much hiring them to do the base, the connection to the building, and to give us a strong base. In terms of actually putting up the antenna, that's not a big deal. I mean, we could do it ourselves, or they're there already. They could do it if that's the least of it. That's pretty simple. In terms of where it's going to go, thinking about it, I think from first of all, the antenna is above the roof line, so it does have 360-degree exposure to the horizon, so that's a good thing. But in thinking about it, that a steel column that's right next to where the radio repeater is, right next to the repeater rack, would make the transmission line 25 feet max, even maybe not even that much. So in keeping the transmission line as short as possible, that's one of the best things we can do because of the loss, there. So maybe that makes the most sense. But yes, I think, with these photographs are so the installers can get an idea, before they come over. They have to do a site survey for sure, but it gives them penciling proposals. They have a little bit of an idea what they're getting into here. So I think on the scale of difficulty, this probably isn't difficult at all. So
Hey, Joe,
leave it to them.
I'm
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just it's kind of an eye chart, so I'm just confirming. Is this thing really 21 feet long?
Yes, it's a collinear
Wow,
antenna, so it's two dipoles in series with
gotcha.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they get the gain out of it. It's the same height as our. How long is our other? Hold on a minute. Let me just see. So I think it's not too much different. I'll have to look it up. Oh, it doesn't say, but it's an identically. I mean, if you look at it, it's an identical antenna. I wouldn't say identical, but it's very, very, very close. It's a collinear antenna. The one thing that I was interested in was this, is I wanted to take a look at the downward projection. So I blew this up a little bit just to get an idea, because we have that issue with people at the foot of the building there not being able to get into the repeater very well. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look there. Here's something very interesting. Is Les on here?
Yes.
Oh, he is. Yeah. You know what? Hi- I don't know where this came from, but if you look at the freeway here, you see how there's like a dip in the freeway, and you could see it. Let me there. Well, if you look at the profile, this is the line directly to the repeater, okay, to KF8UU, okay. Oh, we got address. I take that address off. Um, but the point is that I'm saying is you're right here. You are right here, and there's this ridge. And my guess is that this may be part of the problem in terms of, how sensitive it is in that area. So that's one
That's
lead.
all ground level though too, Joe. That's the ground level um, cross section. That's not
Right,
including
that's
the height of the antenna,
exactly.
either
So
antenna.
the antenna may be up a little ways. You're right. So each one of these yeah, but you get the idea. It's like you can see the challenge there. So we'll have to keep that in mind. But I just happened, as I was putting this together, this popped out at me. So I just thought I'd show that. All right, next. Oh, did we just do this? We just did this, right? Yeah. All right, so we did that. We talked about this last week, doing that footprint thing, really important. Get this updated. The Garden City will move that over a bit. I know it's not exactly at what is .840 or something, or maybe high. I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway, we'll get that. And that's really the one thing is that we still need to pull together is where we want to do some of these sites testing. So where we take our readings to make sure that, you know, things are working the way that we've anticipated. So that's all that's new, and I must say that's a lot. So we'll move ahead and just keep going on the antenna project there. And we're going to get the we're going to get a vendor in there. Don't forget, before we can put that antenna up, we got to clear it with the building. I mean, we can't do that kind of work without their permission. So we need a good plan so we can submit it. And they're willing to work with us. We met them a couple months ago, and they were very encouraging. So that's a good sign there. All right. Well,
One thing that building is the lawyers are going to want to make sure that you have complete insurance and that anybody working on the project is included in a workman's compensation insurance.
oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yep, yep. All that stuff. Um,
Installer should have insurance.
I'm sorry, what? So
The
I didn't hear you.
installer should have insurance, the people that are installing it.
Yes, yes, but we may
Yeah,
But
have,
you got to
I don't,
verify it.
if
right.
if we were a large company, we'd probably have to put up a bond until the work is done. With being, I mean, being a, a volunteer army here, I'm not sure that they would require that, but we'll find out. And once we get their clearance, then we can put in the orders and go. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I know it's a little slow, but we're moving ahead, I think, at a positive rate. We got what a great team working together on all these different aspects of it. And it's great. It's really great. So to these folks here, oops, what happened? There we go. So we'll just keep moving ahead and staying in touch. Email works for me sometimes a little bit better than messaging, but we'll try to answer everything in due time. Are there any other questions or any other comments?
Yeah, Joe, I think for this test of the antenna, we might want to compile a current list of everybody that has a hard time getting in right now from their current location, whether they're at home on an HT or at home in their car from their driveway, um, out on the fringe. I know there's a few people out on the fringe in Waterford that have a decent base station and they can't work the VHF for the life of them. UHF, not a problem. So if we could compile a list and have everybody organized for the big testing date, we can collect their audio signals and their report of the dart, during the test, and then again probably after the new antenna's up. Now I'm still curious if you want to do like a sub test with a makeshift antenna. I have a Tram 1480. It's not going to be a Telwave, but you could. I also have a tripod. We can move it around up there on top of that building and find out if one side propagates better than the other, and if there's any RFI up there, you might be able to predetermine where it is before you put all the money into having the new one permanently installed. I also have a portable SDR receiver. It's very unique. It's a great RF hunter, especially around the house in the neighborhood. If you want, we could maybe even set up a time to bring it up there and just see if there is any kind of RF floating around that we can visually see on an SDR spectrum display. What is really happening up there? I don't think a service monitor, I'm not sure, or
Yeah,
an analyzer would be able to accommodate that. It's not really a receiver, it's sending out a trace signal and then checking for the reflection. So this is actually a radio. We might be able to see where the RF is up there and maybe find the best location to put the new antenna. So a couple thoughts.
Hey, Al,
Yeah.
what, so, what kind of effort goes into, let's say I owned the equipment. What is that? Is that get up on the roof and spend 8 minutes and there you go? Or is that 4 or 5 hours worth of work that would need to go into doing the analysis?
Well, that SDR play that Joe labeled earlier, showed earlier on that slide, that's a receiver as well, but that does require a PC or some hardware also to visually see it. I have a portable SDR receiver that looks like that, but it's a handheld. It's called a Malahite. If you go on YouTube or YouTube, Google, and search Malahite SDR receiver, It's a little handheld receiver that looks similar to the SDR Play that doesn't require any kind of hardware like a PC or a computer. But that the SDR Play is very nice. I highly recommend it. Actually, I have one here at the station, and it works across the whole bandwidth, the whole spectrum, the
Is-
whole
I guess,
RF
I guess
spectrum.
what I'm getting at um, is that something we could ask Sean if he'd be able to do?
Well, I'm sure Sean could add a lot of light onto a lot of questions because
Oh, yes.
he is a repeater builder and he might have the equipment, a field strength meter or something out there, an analyzer to test for RF.
But
I'm
is that something that we could, I mean, if it's 6 hours worth of work, we can't say, hey, want to go up there and just do that for us?
yeah, I
We'd have
have
to
no
be
idea.
talking, we'd have to be talking about paying them. But if it's, 10 minutes of work, then that might be something we
Yes,
could
oh,
ask.
absolutely.
That's
Well,
where I'm going.
I would definitely ask him, regardless. If he says, no, it's a lot of work, I don't have the time, well, we could do a makeshift ourselves or find the equipment to do it ourselves, maybe run it or put it on the purchase order. So I don't know if we have any room left for test equipment and calibration equipment for after the repeaters installed. It's going to take a lot of upkeep. You can't just, you know, turn it on and walk away and hope everything's going to work well. Even Sean will tell you right now with his link system, there's constant upkeep and constant
Yep.
interference and constant things you have to tweak and adjust. So it's going to take a compiled effort of not just us, but somebody with a little more knowledge.
Okay,
Okay.
we can touch base with him on Saturday. That'd be
Yeah.
a good thing to talk to him about. Yeah, for sure. He's a very valuable resource. All righty. Anybody have anything else? Then we will say thank you very much for being here. We'll be in touch and stay tuned. More to follow. Okay, good night, everybody.